Just want to remind everyone before we get started with the meeting, if you could mute your microphones until such time that you are speaking or asking questions, that would be greatly appreciated. Just have about another minute. I'm going to give another minute for folks to sign on. I know I was having some challenges getting on, so perhaps it's also happening to others as well. All right, so I have 6:01. I want to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting dealing with 25 Boem Avenue. Again, I just want to remind everyone to mute your microphones, please. I'm hearing some distortion coming through. My name is Michael Thompson, and I'm your city councillor. And I've arranged for this meeting to discuss the application at 25 Boem. Before I begin, I'd like to just do the land acknowledgement. The City of Toronto acknowledges that we are on the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people. And it is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. The city also acknowledges that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississauga of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. So welcome everyone, and we have had a number of meetings prior with respect to this particular address, and I'd like to get right into it. We have scheduled 1 hour for this meeting, and before I begin, I would simply let folks know that the meeting is being recorded, and we have a number of staff members from my office who are participating in this virtual call. And additionally, we have the applicant here, Adil Ali, and his arborist is also with us as well, Mark Ellis, and Christina Bamse, who is the planning, engineering, and building consultant. We also have city staff with us as well. We have from planning staff, we have Renwick Ashby, who's the manager of community planning, Bita Mo Jobadi, assistant planner. And Bita, I hope I didn't botch your name. But and then also we have from forestry staff, Kim Stratham, who's a director of urban forestry. And Janice Allen is also with us, who's a supervisor of tree protection plan and review. Sinead Gooday is assistant planner, urban forestry. And so before I begin to ask Mr. Ashby just to set the table for us with respect to where we are as it relates to the updated ongoing discussion with respect to planning and forestry. And of course, Kim and Janice, you can also jump in as well, because our last meeting, we had indicated that the applicant and our city staff would be going back to have further discussion, and of course, in conjunction with members of my staff, Ihor Wands, particularly, who is the planning member on the staff, along with Sujanti Minavanan. And so we are about to get an update in terms of where we are, in terms of the number of variances that have been originally asked for by the applicant and where we are today. I just want to remind everyone that I'll be asking people to speak and or ask questions through the notification of a hand signal, and or if you're not able to put a hand signal up, please just unmute your microphone and just let me know that you have questions and or wishing to comment. I want to remind everyone again that It's really important for us to hear the discussion and hear the comments that anyone may wish to offer. I also remind everyone of the city's policy with respect to civility as well as conduct with respect to the meetings to ensure that everyone is able to provide their input and to be respected and to be heard. And so I'll be the arbiter of the meeting, if you will, as I lead the meeting, to ensure that the policies and the conduct of good conduct of all meetings and Robert's Rules of Order will be followed this evening. So again, I welcome everyone. Mr. Ashby, I'd like to maybe just turn it over to you and your team for you to perhaps set the table as to where we are today as it related to the ongoing discussion and negotiation that's been taking place, as well as Kim's on, Kim, you and Janice can also add any, or Sinead as well can add any comments that you wish. So Mr. Ashby, let me turn it over to you, and then I'll be turning it over to the applicant to make their comments, and then we'll open things up. Mr. Ashby, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Deputy Mayor Thompson, and welcome everybody this evening. Actually, staff has been meeting with the applicant. They've been meeting both with community planning, urban forestry, talking about changes to the application and some of the implications that it may have. Those discussions have actually gone right up until today. So I will a date has been set for the Committee of Adjustment for this Thursday, the 21st. Notice has gone out for that meeting, and I understand that today that further changes were suggested or proposed by the applicant. I'll hand it over to Beta, and Beta, if you want to just go into some detail in terms of what changes that we've reviewed to date. And then Deputy Mayor, I don't know if you would like the applicant to go through their revised proposal so that we're right up to speed and we know exactly what it is we're talking about this evening and what would be before the committee on Thursday.
I think that would be prudent. So Bita, over to you. Thank you, Mr. Ashby.
Hello, everyone. I would go briefly through the variances that we have for this coming hearing. Right now, we have two variances that has been improved from the previous submission. So variance number 1 refers to the maximum permitted building depth, which is 19 meters, and this application is proposing building depth of 20.47 meters. So this variance is improved comparing to the previous submission. And the second variance is for maximum permitted driveway width, which is 5.33 meters. And this application is proposing driveway width of 6.19 meters, which again, this variance is improved comparing to the previous submission. And as of today, we received some suggestion regarding removing variance 2, which is regarding the driveway width, and the applicant is looking forward to remove this variance by complying to the bylaw. So these are the list of the variances that are going to be here on hearing date July 21st. July 21st.
Thank you very much, Bita. So just to be clear, Bita, you have indicated that there are two variances right now for the Committee of Adjustment to consider. One is the building depth, and then the other is the driveway with respect to widening from 5.33 to 6.9. But I think I just heard you indicated that that variance is going to be removed by the applicant. Is that what you stated?
That's right. We received this recommendation as suggestion today.
I would now ask the applicant owner, Mr. Ali, and your representatives, perhaps Mr. Ali, will get you to provide some updates to members of the community as to the status of your application and the ongoing discussion and negotiation with the city staff.
Hello.
We can hear you, sir. Go ahead, please.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael, and everybody for coming to the meeting. As Ms. Beta had stated that we were initially asking for two variances. One was building depth and the one was widening the driveway. So after the meetings with the community planning and urban forestry, what we have come down to is we did reduce the building length, building depth to roughly 20.4. That's what, roughly that's what I remember, that we have come down to that much. And in terms of that was variance number one, and variance number two, we had come down to 6.19 meters. We had shrinked it, but from the negotiations today, what we concluded was we will remove the variance number two of widening the driveway. So moving forward on July 21st, meeting with the committee of adjustment, we are only asking for one variance, which is for the building depth of 20.4 meters. That's the only variance we will ask, and we have given up on the variance number two for widening the driveway to comply with the zoning bylaw. And once again, I'm sure everybody knows. Sorry, yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, through you, Deputy Mayor, can you go, I'm just gonna ask Gadville, can you go into details in terms of what changes that that you are proposing to the interior of the dwelling?
Yeah, definitely. So I don't remember the exact figures, but what I know is 20.4 meters. So with this reduction, there was an elevator on the main floor, which was accessible from the basement, main floor, and the second floor. So we have removed the elevator from the house as a whole. So there's no more elevator. The second changes we have done is there was a full not master bedroom, I would say, but there was a full bedroom with the closet, walk-in closet, and full three-piece washroom on the main floor, which we have revised as well. So there's no longer a bedroom with the walk-in closet on the main floor. We are only keeping the office space with the two-piece washroom, which is a powder room, toilet, and a sink. So there's no more shower in the main floor as well. So there's no elevator in the whole house, and there's no bedroom on the main floor with no full three-piece washroom. And on the second floor, we have reduced, of course, the size has shrunk as well. So we shrunk the bedroom size and wherever was required. And same thing in the basement, we shrunk what was required to achieve. So these are the changes being made.
Where's Andy?
Yep, I'm done.
Why is Michael
You don't
talking?
have your camera on.
No, I don't. Am I not hearing volume? Not hearing anything.
Deputy Mayor, you're on mute.
You would think after all this time. Kathy, we can hear you. I just wonder if you could mute your iPad, please.
Yeah, will do.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kathy. Okay. Sorry, Kim and Janice, did you wish to comment? Because I think obviously we know that the community is very concerned about protecting and safeguarding the trees, particularly the roots of the trees and so on. So I'm just wondering if you wish to comment. We are now dealing with one variance, which is essentially to push the property further to the south. And so not to the north. The tree is located in the north, but we know the tree roots are obviously all around the property and so on. I don't know to what extent the depth or the length of the roots. However, the variance that we're dealing with now is essentially one, which is essentially the building depth. And so I wonder if you could comment, and then we'll just open things up to members of the community. Thank you very much.
Sure. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and everyone. Certainly, we can speak for a couple of components related to the urban forestry's interest in the file, both related to the removal of the second variance, which was related to the driveway, and that is much of the conversation we've had in the last 2 meetings, and the benefits of then to the tree with just the one remaining. And then Janice, I'll pass it over to you to walk us through that, and then also to speak about the exploratory route or the route exploration that will give us some more information on the presence of routes moving forward in relation to the tree protection zone. Janice?
Hello, everyone. So in terms of the depth variance, forestry is actually in support of that variance because that variance pushes the house away from the tree. Our concerns were with the width variance and what that variance could actually mean in the long term, because if approved, it would allow the 6.19 meter driveway from dwelling to the road, which is what we didn't want to see. In terms of the permit application, we are still waiting for an exploratory route trench to see what routes are actually in the area of impact.
Okay, thank you very much. If that's your last comment. I saw Mr. Ellis, your mic came on. I didn't know if you wish to make any comments before we just open up for members of the community for discussion. Mr. Ellis, did you wish to comment?
No, I can just say that as far as the exploratory dig, that was covered in the first arbor support and tree preservation plan that was prepared, and we did cover that in the various Zoom meetings that we've had so far.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ellis. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
members of the community, we are here to discuss one variance that has essentially emerged as a result of ongoing discussions and negotiation with the applicant and city staff. And you've heard from city staff indicated that they are supportive of the variance. Basically, the difference is 1.4 meters, where the required is 19 and the applicant is looking at 20.4. Mr. Ashby has asked the applicant to give you an updated the updated changes to the interior of the property. It seems that they have basically made considerable adjustment in order to arrive at the needed where they still need 1.4 meters and so on. And so I will now open up the floor for any comments or any questions that members of the community may have. I'm looking at the screen, and if I don't see you because somehow my iPad isn't giving me all of the screens, please just unmute your microphone or just put your hands up, and you can maybe put something in the chat if you wish. So, members of the community, the floor is open. Sage.
Yeah. Hi.
You have your hand up there?
Yes, indeed.
Actually, it's Andy.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Okay.
You're covering your face, and I don't want to see you cover your face.
Oh,
You're covering your
good?
face, so let's not cover your face. I want to see your face.
okay.
There we go. You're good now. You're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
a couple things. Now, where the two-story structure was going up, have they moved the house farther away from the tree from the last plan that they had on file? Because they said they moved it back from the original plan. They moved it back like 6 feet or something like that. Has that been moved back farther yet, or is that still where the house is going to start in relation to the tree?
Okay, Mr. Ashby, I wonder if you and or Bita would wish to answer that question, please.
Okay, Bita, if you wouldn't mind addressing that, and I don't know whether urban forest you might want to give some further details on in terms of the location of the tree and the proposal.
Right. Well, I'm looking at both plans, comparing both drawings, the most recent one and the drawing that was submitted on the previous submission to committee. And it seems like the front yard setback to the front main wall is not changed. Previously, it was at 11.3, and
Yeah.
the new plans also shows 11.3.
Okay, thank you. That answers that question. So that leads me to my second observation. Now, again, everyone in the neighborhood, in the community, like you said, the tree is what we want to protect. And I was reviewing the arborist's report, and the photograph that the arborist attached to it, showing which branches they wanted to cut. Well, I have several issues with that. And again, I'm going to hold up. There's the arborist's submission with a photograph of what branches they want to trim. It's an interesting camera angle. It's basically taken from the ground and looking up through between the tree and the home. This perspective basically would show the committee that the tree is almost not near the house, and cutting those branches, which actually they'll be cutting limbs and branches, and we're not just talking a prune of branches, is very, very misleading. In that this photograph shows the actual position of the canopy over the house. And as you can see, it actually hangs over the ridge line from the front of the house towards the backyard. And to prune that canopy to the point where they can go up 2 stories, this is how much of the tree needs to be removed in order to accommodate putting a 2-story structure underneath it. So basically, this is not an accurate portrayal of what pruning needs to be done. You're not going to be pruning this tree. You're going to be devastating it by cutting major limbs, not little branches, limbs, and you'll lose a good 1/3 to 1/4 of the canopy of this tree. And I don't see on what planet, basically, you can fit a 2-story home under the canopy of the tree. It's, the tree is already going to be stressed because of the work going on building a structure. You remove a large this much of the canopy, you're going to put that tree in danger. And I
Right, so
want to
can
make
we-
sure you were clear as to what needs to happen in order for a structure to fit underneath that tree. It's not,
Right.
it's still, and nobody's talking about that.
Well, you posed the question, you posed a scenario, so why don't we give
Yeah.
our staff an opportunity to respond then, please, okay? Thank you. Kim, did you want to say?
I think Mark Ellis, the arborist who prepared that report, it looks like he's reconnecting to audio, so we might have lost him
Oh, okay,
for a minute.
all right.
It would probably be appropriate for Mark to start. Janice
fair
could certainly speak to what's involved in our review through the permit application if Mark isn't available yet.
Okay.
I'm here. Can anyone hear me?
There you go.
Yeah, we can hear you, Mark. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, sorry.
I
dropped
was
the
just
call for the
hoping
last
that you had heard.
minute.
Did you hear the comment with respect to the location of the tree and the placement of the 2-story new structure? Did you hear the comment? Mark, are you with us? Mark, are you with us?
Yep.
Did you hear the comment and the question?
No, what was the question?
I can
So I
summarize
wonder
very.
if you could just paraphrase, if you wish.
Yeah, I can. So Mark, the question was related to in the arborist report, the comment about needing to remove 2 branches to accommodate the second story of the building, and there was some concern that that is in fact a significant part of the canopy that may lead to injury of the tree. I think Andy, if that was a fair, quick summary of your comment.
Absolutely, because when I read the report and look at the photograph as submitted by the arborist, it doesn't reflect how much of that tree will need to be removed. Canopy of that tree will need to be removed in order to put a 2-story structure that close to it. And I think I showed in one of the photographs how much of that tree actually hangs over that house. And then you want to add another story on top of that. We're not.
I can speak a bit to that.
Yeah, you're not going to prune a few branches. You're removing some major limbs,
which are size of
which in themselves are the size of
small tree.
a small tree.
Yeah. No, I think I have a good solution. So there's your citizens, like your people of the neighborhood. There's like your perception of the tree. There's also a professional arborist perception of the tree, and
just before we continue,
the two may differ.
Okay, folks, Andy, sorry.
I just want to
Give him a chance to respond, please. Mute yourself for me, please. Let's give him a chance to respond. We're not going to have that kind of meeting. Let's give him a chance to respond. You can come back on and speak, but we'll have others come on as well. So just give him an opportunity to respond, please. Go ahead, please, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think there may be two different potential opinions of the tree. However, I think the best solution would be to actually go on site. I think that's the only way to actually see. There's one person can draw a line, another person can draw a line on the photo, but I don't think it's actually representative of what can happen on site. And due to the scale of this project, I think the only way to move forward would be to have a meeting on site and with a laser pointer and see where the building is actually going to go based on the latest variants, the latest where the house is going, and then make a decision based on that.
All right, so Kim. Sorry. Could you comment on that, please? Because again, we want to certainly look at, as Andy's pointed out, the pruning and or the changes that could impact the tree's health, because that's really super important. Go ahead, please.
Sure,
How
and
do we handle the situation forward?
Sure, I'll provide an intro, and then Janice can
Sure.
talk specifics for us. But yeah, as Mark's suggesting, what would happen with the permit application is that we would review what would be proposed from the perspective of the house now being set back, the height, and what good arboricultural maintenance and pruning of this tree would look like. And that is what Janice and her team, and Sinead's on the call as well, would be reviewing to ensure that anything that was being proposed is in fact what we would qualify as good pruning and would not result in an injury to the tree. Janice, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, for the most part, you've covered everything. We would review and determine if pruning was within good arboriculture practice. The other thing to note here is that we're just looking at the committee of adjustment and variance at this point. We're not reviewing the injury and the permit application, which is a completely different process.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. So there you have your answer with respect to how this is being done and will be done going forward. Obviously, we are relying on our professional forestry and arborists to ensure that the actions taken by the applicant will be such that it does not create an injury to the tree that would otherwise obviously be detrimental to the tree. So You've got your answer there. So I'm going to go now to Alex.
How's it going?
Alex, go ahead. Well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. I just kind of would like to kind of go over the tree protection zone and how construction would commence in that aspect. I do notice there was a new revised plan.
Sure,
that
that'd be helpful.
very blocked out, but if I can just kind of hear what they plan to do in terms of working around the tree and the tree protection zone.
Yeah.
You want Mark Ellis Arborist to throw in?
Oh, absolutely. It's they're asking you the
Sure.
question. Thanks,
Sure.
Mark.
Yeah, it's for the most part, I believe, I mean, there's still some unknown variables, but I believe 99% or more of the proposed construction is within the footprint of the existing house or driveway. So it is expected that they're, you know, and the existing driveway base is going to remain unchanged. So it is expected that little to no root injury will occur. However, as is covered in the arborist report, next steps are to do an exploratory dig using an airspeed and or soil vac to blow out the soil without damaging any roots to see what roots are at areas of proposed construction, if any. So from there, we can make an educated decision on how to proceed forward, whether root prune, alter construction, or a combination thereof.
And I might just add to that, if I can, Alex, just to answer the question, I think for everyone's benefit in terms of what is tree protection and what is the purpose of it. The city, of course, has guidelines in relation to protecting trees during construction. And the point of that is not only the existing footprint or where the ultimate or eventual final dwelling is located, but also to protect the tree during construction, so the movement of vehicles, the storage of equipment, etc. And so on our website, we have some information on what tree protection, what that means. So the erection of sturdy fences, signage, so that the community is aware of the area is a tree protection zone and what can and cannot happen in and around that area. And that is something that would be required to be erected before any construction or storage would take place, and needs to be up for the duration of that construction as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you. Looking to see other hands that are up.
Was your question
Alex?
answered thoroughly, Alex?
For the most part, yeah. I'm just trying to picture just to see where the fencing is going to go up. I'm not quite too sure if it's going to be along the existing driveway, as you said, and that's not really going to be, I guess, taken out. But I do know the tree protection zone. If you go by kind of the layout and what the information said on the website, it falls within the drip line of the tree, which obviously overhangs even the whole property. So I'm just kind of curious to kind of find out where that fencing is going to go up. I guess it would go along the perimeter of what the existing driveway is and no further.
Yeah, it would cover all soft surface areas on site within the current tree protection zone.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, I'm just looking for additional hands. And I'm just flipping my screen here, so just give me a moment, please. I don't see, oh, Alex, I've got you. Alex and Sage, I know that you have your hands up. I have Galaxy S9. I'm not sure who that person is, but you're up, please. Galaxy S9. Hello. There's a Galaxy S9 Plus. You have your hand up. Did you wish to ask a question? Okay, there you are. I think you're unmuted now.
I think that might be Korean.
Okay. I'm not sure if he can hear us. We certainly can't see any activity. Kareem, is that yours? Is that you there? All right, let's come back then and see whether or not we can get Kareem, if that is who that is. All right, so folks, let me just say this, and to the question that was asked earlier around the tree and the tree canopy and so on. what I've heard from staff and also the arborist representing the applicant is that those are discussions that will be ongoing in terms of ensuring that the protection and the safeguard of the tree. And so while that is not in front of us, it is an important concern with respect to protecting the tree. The director has indicated the process that is involved with respect to our tree protection. And so the question has been raised, response has been given. Whether or not you're happy with that or not, that is something that we'll have to work through as part of the professional city staff's responsibility and their professional opinion in terms of how to protect the tree. So I can just simply say to you and to those who've raised the concern, that is the sort of guidance and that is the process that I have to follow in terms of their professional judgment. And so we will address the issue here tonight of the variance, the depth, that is actually the one variance that the applicant is asking for. Other issues around the tree preservation and protection will be as part of our tree protection bylaw. And I have no doubt that the professional staff will ensure that what needs to be done will be done. And so I will go back to Galaxy S9 Plus, and whether or not that's Kareem, I'm not sure. But if you are able to speak, yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry, but I'm babysitting a dog and he's driving me out of my mind. Anyways, I want to know, so what does this mean? Everybody's asked for a deferral. Is there going to be a deferral of the 21st? There's three, the city planner, I think the actual Ali, his representative, and there's, I think, another, maybe forestry is asking for a deferral. Is that still going to be deferred, or is the meeting going to be, or are they going to be looking at it?
Well, let me ask them to respond to your question. I'll ask them in the order that you're posed. Mr. Ashby, as part of planning, are you asking for a deferral?
No.
Okay. Forestry, are you asking for a deferral?
No, we are not.
Okay. Is there anyone else that is, I'm just looking at the call, that is asking for a deferral? Is the applicant asking for a deferral?
No.
Okay, good. So there are no deferral that's being asked for the upcoming meeting on the 21st.
Okay. Is it?
Again, I just remind everyone that so I just make the point, I'll get you in 1 second. Just remind everyone that we had asked staff and the applicant to go back and negotiate to address the issues that were of real concerns, which there are many. Obviously, we heard about the tree and so on a moment ago, but we are basically dealing tonight with this meeting with respect to the variance that is going in front of the Committee of Adjustment. And we have heard that the applicant has removed one that was of great concern to many in the community. We've heard the question about the tree canopy and the protection, and the response from the staff is that there are protective policies that will govern how the development of the site, or the structure on the site, and its potential impact with respect to the tree. That is in the purview of the professional urban planner, urban forestry staff, and that will be where that will go. So there is no request for a deferral coming forward.
So is there not going to be any updated site plan that is correct?
Yeah, so what is the status of the updated site plan, Mr. Ashby? We didn't have any drawings that show the full setback of a footprint with respect to where the placement and so on, just as a visual. So what's the status of that?
Yeah. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And that is fair. And I know we've been dealing with changes right up to an hour prior to this meeting. So the applicant, I don't know what plans you have to display at this meeting. I know you will have updated plans before the Committee of Adjustment hearing. So let me know, or let us know what sort of plans you have right now.
So since this, the last change was just made prior to the meeting happening today, was on a very short change. So we do not have any plans that I can provide now with the new changes, but it will be provided by tomorrow.
And that includes a new survey?
No, the new survey will be not provided by tomorrow, but it will be provided moving forward. I'm not 100% sure. I cannot give you a timeline today, but of course that will be provided very shortly.
Then why are we wasting time going to the Committee of Adjustments without all that?
Okay. Sorry, I won't be able to answer that question for you. Maybe the city planner, if he can help us to answer this.
Well, all I could say is at your hearing on July 21st, you have to have this information with you.
But why
It
doesn't,
would be very difficult for staff and the committee to thoroughly review your application without a complete package. So you have to have a complete package before the committee so that they can make an appropriate decision.
So it makes sense that it would be a moot point then if in fact there was not the site plan and the detailed drawings for the committee to review. So the committee would automatically arrive at that. I think what the staff have indicated is that based on where the variances are concerned, they don't have a concern with it. But you're right, we do not have the plans to view what is actually being stated by the applicant and his representative, if you will. So the question is, what will the applicant show to the committee? If the applicant has nothing to show to the committee has no decision to make because they don't have the information. But that's another element with respect to, I'll just finish the point and I'll let you speak in a moment, 1 second. That's another element. I can't say to the applicant, now you don't have the drawings, you will ask for deferral. I think that one of the reasons why we're having this meeting is that to ensure the satisfaction of the committee. I'm certainly not satisfied that we don't have plans. And so it is up to the applicant to decide how they want to proceed. But I think it's fair that the community should ask for the detailed drawings. I think that's absolutely fair. But go ahead, please. You.
Hello, can I speak?
Yes, is this Mr. Ali? Did you wish to make some additional comments? Yeah. Go ahead.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. So the new site plan is showing the changes for the variance number 2 will be provided by tomorrow, as I said initially. And the max depth that has already been provided to the committee. The one which shows the maximum depth that we're asking, the variance number 1, that has been provided to the Committee of Adjustment. Right, and the new site plan to show the variance number 2 being removed will be provided by tomorrow to the committee.
Okay, thank you.
can I just ask one more question?
Please go ahead, please. Go ahead.
How can you do that without a corrected survey? How do we know the survey is correct everywhere? If they got the tree wrong, so wrong. Like, why wouldn't you have done a new survey, Mr. Ali? That would have been the first thing that you should do, you would think. If you've come across and said you've got lawyers involved and, you know, like, where's the proof of that? Like, how do we know? And so this is all going to whether we can trust you and your agents and the people that are working for you on whether or not you will truly make sure, because there's people that live like right next door, and if a limb falls on them, they're gone. You know, and you're gonna disturb the roots and you're gonna cut the canopy at the same time. And you only have to look across the street At Boem Avenue, right across the street, there's 2 trees that were sister trees. And they both were pruned beautifully every year, year after year, until they had to take the sewer up on the one side. And that tree, it's been 10 years and that tree is never recovered. So we're worried about, like, Hillary, who lives at number 27. Is one of those limbs going to come down onto her house? Is the tree going to be destabilized and then we're going to lose this tree? Like, this isn't.
So let's give an opportunity to respond to your
Sorry, I'm just.
and all your comments.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Ali, go ahead, please. Respond.
So in terms of the new survey, if I'm not wrong, I believe that was the first meeting or the second, it was stated that we will have to provide the new survey once before we apply for the building permit with the correct changes. That was number one. And second, if I'm not wrong, it was stated that from the urban forestry, they did make a visit to make sure there was no other tree wrong sizes on the survey. And on the current survey that we have, only the location is verified by my arbiters that the location is correct for the tree, just the size is wrong. So of course that changes will be done once it's required, but for now, this is what we have.
Well, then,
Mr. Ali, do you not think it would be prudent with respect to the question that's being asked, though, of the community? You've been through, obviously, this exercise now on a number of meetings. Do you not think it'd be prudent, perhaps, for you to get the detailed information as a site plan, and then, as I think, as a good neighbor, to present to members of the community so they can have an opportunity to review it, and then, maybe there may be additional questions. So I guess the question to you, do you not think it would be prudent, as has been asked, for you, maybe you ask for the deferral in order to provide, the appropriate drawings, both to the staff and to have members of the community review it? I've never had a situation where I've had a committee of adjustment discussions with members of the community where there was not sort of what is final plans that will be submitted to the committee of adjustment. So there is a question there, Mr. Ali.
Yeah, definitely. With all due respect, of course, we should provide a updated site plan to the community and to the city. As I stated before, the decision to remove the variance number 2 was finalized today, give and take between 4 to 5 p.m. My architect did try to work on it, but there was just not enough time. So that being said, this will be provided to the committee by tomorrow. However, if the community, of course, they can like a copy of it, and I can give it to your office and you can mail it out, or I can get someone to mail it out. That's something we can decide on. But of course, it's not been ready yet just because of the time shortage, and it wasn't enough time to prepare it. So
thank you. I got that, but I think that given the fact that we have all been through this process, and I think process of fairness to everyone, that the community and yourself and my office and our city staff and so on have all been trying to work through this. At the moment, it would seem as if we're actually operating in the dark, right? Because we don't have that detail design and the details as it relates to a site plan. I think that the requests, I don't think it's an onerous one in my view, and I think it's actually one that would be fair based on the ongoing conversations that we've been having. And as you can see, the interest of members of the community in terms of, having the accuracy of information and the details in place in order for them to be satisfied. And I think it's really important that the community is satisfied with respect to the issue as to, the placement and the location. I think people want to have a visual. As you can see, this is a very important matter to members of the community, and the community have come forward with respect to what I believe are appropriate, fair questions and comments in a very logical, appropriate way. So I think that you may want to, think through this in order to give the community some comfort that in order for you to go forward, that they too should have an opportunity to see the details, because they are at a disadvantage here with respect to the submission. So, you know, your architect may complete the drawings by tomorrow, but regrettably, the community would not have an opportunity to be engaged. And in as much as you may submit it, you know, the community not engage is not a good thing in my view. And in as much as you may provide the submission to the committee of adjustment, the fact is the community would not have the opportunity and the time to examine the details. And so even though the committee may very well support the variance, I think that just from a absolute sense of fairness and just to ensure that as part of the process that we've gone through, that there's more opportunity for the community to review and then to come back and to offer input. So my question to you, sir, are you prepared to ask the committee to defer this matter until such time that you have more detailed information, that the community could view it to their satisfaction, and then we proceed thereafter?
Yeah, definitely. I would 100% prefer to get deferred the application from July 21st. If that's possible, we would love to defer it.
Yeah, and let me just make, thank you very much for that. Let me just make it clear to members of the community. Certainly, the Committee of Adjustment would look at the variance that's being asked for, and I don't think it's an onerous request. But as has been pointed out by some, that look, we have to make sure that we protect and safeguard the tree and the canopy, which is, which is just absolutely amazing in terms of how it covers the site and the property, to make sure. I'll come to you in a second, just to ensure that there is peace of mind within the context of the community's concern and so on. I think that will actually satisfy everyone, so that we are all on the same page at the end of the day. Because as I've indicated, the variance is not one that is onerous, and I think it's more likely would be approved by the Committee of Adjustment. And at the same time, there is the work that's necessary to safeguard the tree, the canopy, the root protection, and so on, which are all part of what's part of our tree protection bylaw and so on. So I'm happy, Mr. Ali, that you've indicated that you, Don, I'll come to you in a second. I'm going to go to Andy first, and then I'll come to you. I'm happy, Mr. Ali, that you've indicated that you are interested in working with the community to ensure that they are provided with additional information, detailed information, as well as our staff as well. Andy, I'll come back to you and then over to Don. Go ahead, please. I think you're muted still.
Hi, yes, I think we're good now. I'm just gonna make a very short comment. Sure. and or statement. This is mostly directed at the arborist, Mark Ellis. He was very quick to point out, that he's a professional, and my opinion possibly, isn't valid. I just wanted to state, which is what I was going to say earlier, but I actually have post-secondary education in the field of arboriculture and horticulture, and I worked in the industry for a number of years. So I'm not coming from a place that I don't know what I'm talking about. And I would really very much like to take Mr. Ellis up on his suggestion of having everyone come out to the site, and he can make his case, and I can also point out what I was trying to illustrate in a visual way, because obviously speaking about it isn't really getting the point across. It's not making the impression. And I think actually having that meeting in the field, saying this is where the structure is going to be, and I can illustrate my point better in person, on site, and then the community can be there as well, and then we can, because I think it's not the variance so much as I still, I think a lot of us feel that the structure is still too close to the tree, and it's anyway.
Fair enough.
But long story short, I would like to have that that opportunity to
Sure.
have a site visit and look at it in that regard.
Fair enough. So I can't compel them to do that, but I think that your request, I think it's fair. But I'd also like to suggest that Janice Allen and maybe anyone else from forestry could be part of that conversation as well, because it
Absolutely.
needs to be a three-sided conversation,
yes.
right? So
Forestry
that
definitely
our
needs to be
professional
there
staff
as
are
well.
part of it. All
Absolutely.
right,
I
thank
agree
you very much for
100%.
that. Mr. Ellis or Mr. Ali, did you wish to comment with respect to the request, which I think is a fair request around meeting on site to have further discussion and so on? Look, the tree is extremely important to the community. We know that, and everyone in this community is standing to ensure that we protect the sustainability of the tree. All right, so I think that's without question, that's extremely important to everyone. So, Mr. Ali, did you want to make a quick comment, or Mark, did you wish to make a quick comment on that?
Yeah, I would be more than satisfied to do that, and I'll let Mr. Mark comment.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it
All right,
sounds,
thank you.
sounds,
So the final comment.
good.
Go ahead, please, Mark. Okay.
Yeah,
great.
that sounds,
And
that sounds good.
forestry,
Sorry,
Janice,
go
just
ahead.
by way of nodding your head, if you're okay with that. Okay, great. Don, you're going to be the last speaker or questioner, and then we'll have to close.
Okay, I was wondering if there's going to be a like a detailed diagram of what branches are going to be cut down from the canopy and what the tree would look like after compared to the house. Like, is it just going to be straight up and then straight across? I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, I can
Sure.
speak
Mark,
to that.
did you wish?
Sure. So I think this ties into what I proposed as a site meeting, and I think, you know, professionals should make the decision. When we follow best arboricultural practices for pruning.
Was that?
I think you're muted.
We go back to
You
another
muted
branch.
yourself there, Mark.
What?
Oh, here.
That wasn't an answer.
Hello? Hello?
Sorry, Don, he's giving you an answer.
Okay.
Please just
Yeah.
go ahead, please.
Yeah. So when we
Mark.
prune, generally we take you know, a larger branch back, you know, to an even larger branch. It's called internodal pruning, or we'll take it all the way back to the trunk. We don't want to leave stubs. So there wouldn't be a case of a straight up the side kind of pruning. That is known as a bad arboricultural practice, and it's not used in these days. So, you know, now I would like to point out too that tree doesn't look like that, you know, without pruning. That tree has had extensive pruning, including the removal of large diameter, 8-inch diameter plus limbs removed from it over the decades, over its life. So any tree does, you know, as general maintenance, does require regular pruning on pruning cycles. I'm not saying that's what needs to be done, but like, you know, that so pruning is not necessarily an injury. Maybe forestry thinks it's that, but it ties into maintaining the tree as well. From the get-go on this project, my #1 focus has been the tree, and it feels, you know, like a lot of people just don't want the build to happen. I want the preservation of the tree. That is my #1 and sole focus. And I feel that because of some of the things that have happened so far, you know, we had the opportunity to push the building back and provide the tree more growing space. That has been axed, you know. So anyways, that's where I'm at in this. And I think we can discover more via a site visit and, you know, the use of a laser pointer to see where the elevations are going, the height. Perhaps have a tree climber go up with a tape measure so we can see exactly where the building's going and what branches, if any, need to come off, to see if we need to remove those branches regardless of construction, just through general maintenance, or to see if it's an unacceptable injury.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So there will be further discussions with respect to the applicant, his arborist, our city staff, and there will be an interchange and an opportunity for members to meet with parties. A member of my team will be there as well on site. A date to be will ask for a deferral. And so prior to this matter coming back to us, we will have detailed drawings. There will be and would have been a meeting on site with members of the community and the city staff and my office and the applicant in his representative. And thereafter, we will actually then arrange to have a final meeting to discuss the site plan, to discuss any further details, as well as forestry staff will provide further evidence and information as it relates to protecting and safeguarding the tree. And so we will continue the discussion. We know we don't have all of the information at this particular point in time. And so I think it's wise and prudent for us to support the applicant's request to the Committee of Adjustment for a deferral and then to allow for this matter to be brought forward. So I want to thank everyone for again participating in tonight's meeting, and we will be in touch as we have done in terms of prior meetings, and we've followed up as we have done. So that will continue. I don't have any expected dates at this point in time, but we will let you know by notification. So again, I thank everyone from the community and the applicant, our staff, and members of my team as well for being engaged in tonight's meeting. And I would look forward to seeing you all very soon to further the discussion and to bring this matter to a logical conclusion at the appropriate time. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.